So this is the first episode of our plant-based podcast.
That's Jordan.
That's Sarah.
And I guess we're going to start by talking about our, journey.
Yeah, our vegan journey. Our plant-based journey.
Right. It's
Okay.
obviously the point of this podcast is to talk about vegan stuff. We're a vegan couple, and...
Yeah, I don't know. When I hear journey, I think, I don't know. What
That's,
where do we...
That's just the lexicon.
Okay.
We don't have to call it that, but, our vegan story.
Okay.
Our vegan history.
Cool. Do you want to get started with yours, or how?
Yeah, I can talk about mine.
Okay.
So, I'm 24, and when I was 8 or 9, pretty much always my favorite meal has been chili.
Chili.
My mom has made chili for me since I was probably 8 or 9. Second, third, fourth grade. And I guess at some point, for whatever reason, maybe I heard it in school or I don't know, but I told her and I told my dad, I told my aunt, I was like, I'm going to go vegetarian. I want to be a vegetarian. I don't want to eat meat.
Right.
And I don't know why I wanted to do that. I don't know if it was because I was I love animals. Obviously, there's probably no environment.
At that age, yeah.
No, I knew, at that age, you should recycle and you shouldn't litter, but, I didn't think
that's
about...
more than I knew, so...
Yeah,
you were on a good start.
Right. So, so I definitely wasn't thinking about, animal agriculture's impact on the environment.
Right.
But I was probably thinking a little bit about, I like animals. I don't want to eat animals. But also probably just thought it was, a trendy, fad diet. And, I don't think I'm above admitting that, by the time I was that age, I was thinking about diets as something cool that people did.
Right.
But, when my mom made chili, the chilies that she made were a couple pounds of ground beef and a can or two of kidney beans, but the base of the chili was meat.
Right.
Fucking cover it in sour cream, cover it in cheese, crackers, whatever. My mom was making it with all manner of meat and dairy. And obviously this was early 2000s, so everybody's kind of idea of being a vegetarian in my family was you're so stupid, why would you ever do that?
Right.
So they were nice, but they were kind of roasting me a little bit, what are you gonna eat chili with? And I remember one of my mom's friends had some sort of my chili's all beans, my chili actually doesn't have meat, plenty of chili doesn't have meat, doesn't have meat, but I was still maybe too afraid to not eat meat because that was normal.
It would change the chili or something.
It would change the chili, and it would change
Yeah.
all the other meals that I liked. My aunt at the time made teriyaki chicken and rice.
Yeah.
And they literally just soaked chicken breasts in teriyaki sauce, and then I guess they marinated, not soaked, but whatever, and made rice.
They drenched it in teriyaki sauce.
With eggs and some peas or whatever, just
Right.
the whitest Asian rice meal you could think of. And so I was okay, well, what will I eat in that? It's not just beans that you can substitute it with. And I didn't know that there was such a thing as substitutes. So
Yeah.
that was a conversation of me being I'm gonna go vegetarian, and everybody in my family going, well, what will you do? How are you gonna eat? What could you possibly eat? And a few times from then throughout my schooling, I thought about it. I remember in the 9th grade we watched, what's that fucking movie, Farm Inc. or something like that, some sort of something about animal ag, and it was really sad to see all the chickens cooped up and whatever. And so I was maybe I should interrogate my food choices, but never did.
That was in 9th grade?
That was in 9th grade. I had an
Yeah.
AP Human Geography class. So we learned all about, maybe it was, during maybe the May Movie Madness or something we watched.
Right.
I forget the name of the movie, but, it's, maybe it's Farm Inc.? I don't think so, though.
I don't know. One of those Netflix ones, or it ended up on Netflix.
It probably ended up
Yeah.
on Netflix, but it was, a big movie about just,
Food Inc.
Food Inc. That's what it's called. It's just all about how food is made, because it wasn't just focused on animal ag.
Right.
They had a whole 30-minute just spiel about corn syrup.
Right.
And how corn syrup is in everything we eat. And so it was kind of at that point anyways that my parents started to get a little bit crunchier with how they ate. Like we got Whole Foods. Tampa got a Whole Foods.
Yeah.
So they started going to Whole Foods, and then they got like weird. Like my parents were always into like dieting and like being thin. So
Right.
for them, they were like, we have to eat real food so we won't get fat. And like, so we went from like Hamburger Helper every night and like shepherd's pie with the ground beef and like slices of Kraft singles on like the top of it to make it like melty and gooey.
Delicious.
So fucking good. But we went from that to like my mom saying, well, I read and saw in a documentary that you shouldn't even cook your vegetables because that's bad for you. Like it went from like one kind of extreme to another.
Right.
Because my parents learned about what like healthy or whole foods were, I guess.
Yeah.
But at that time, the bummer was that I was a teenager, so I was like really resistant to that idea. And I remember in the 9th grade and in the 10th grade, I had a creative writing teacher who was a vegetarian. And he was like what everybody thought a vegetarian looked like at the time. He was thin, pale. He really liked to wear like plain t-shirts with like a button-up sort of plaid t-shirt on top, like with the buttons undone, you know?
Right.
And like kind of like too big for him jeans.
And like goofy shoes, right?
Always goofy shoes.
Yeah, that's a thing.
He was like so amazing and wonderful, and everything about what he taught me was great. But like I remember my dad at the time being like, yeah, he's a vegetarian. You see how pale he is? And he's just skinny and he's whatever. Like the idea was that vegetarians were weird.
Right.
And vegans were even weirder. And my parents started right around the Whole Foods journey. Whenever Tampa got its Whole Foods, or whenever they figured out that Tampa had a Whole Foods, they started cutting back on meat. But by the time I moved out of the house, there was no like meatless anything. We talked about meatless Mondays a little bit, but I don't know if we ever actually executed on that idea. I remember my mom being like, we should do meatless Mondays. Some people do meatless Mondays. And like, I don't know that ever happened.
Right.
And so like I turned 18, I went off to college, whatever. Just ate like garbage because my parents at that point had forced me into a couple years of like healthy living, like eating whole foods and eating like fucking vegetables all the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ramen noodles every day, all day for the rest of my life. I will eat ramen noodles 3 times a day.
Why not? I mean,
Is the recording okay?
yeah, no.
Okay. But yeah, no, I wanted to eat ramen noodles all the time. I wanted to eat candy. I wanted to eat junk food. When I got my first job on campus, the vending machines, like in my building that I worked at, always had Cheetos.
Yeah.
So like every day I went to the vending machine and got Cheetos. Like I wasn't fucking around. I was committing to being as unhealthy as possible. And that was right around the time you and I got together. Which like, do you want me to stop and you can talk about yours and then we'll like meet where we got together?
Okay.
Because that's 2014.
Okay. So everything up until 2014. I didn't really, I mean, I had never been vegetarian growing up. I had never experimented with meatless anything or like dairy-free anything. My sister was vegetarian kind of off and on when she was younger, and I remember just kind of thinking it was weird, which wasn't helped by the fact that my sister had legitimate eating disorders.
So in your mind, you kind of like paired that together.
Yeah, I kind of like paired the, like that kind of restrictive or like controlled eating. Yeah, kind of always appeared to me as disordered. So it was something I never did. I loved animals, right? But I also loved eating animals. And yeah, I mean, I really didn't have any thoughts like about ever being vegan or vegetarian. I had like some girlfriends who were vegetarian, and I remember them being so willing to like cheat on that. Like they would just go to McDonald's and get a whatever, and like they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm vegetarian," and
It's the worst way to cheat.
it seemed like it was just a game, you know, or like just something to hold over people's heads. That was my thought on it the whole time, and then like
I'm vegetarian, so I'm better than you.
yeah,
Okay.
and Yeah, so to me, it was either like an eating disorder or it was something to like appear better than other people. It was never anything I cared to try at all. And then in 2014, we got together, and I mean, I had been eating junk food too.
We ate like shit when we got together. And you had been in the Philippines for a year.
Yeah.
So you ate all manner of like street food and stuff that they have, because they do meat a little bit differently than we do, right?
Right. I mean, I ate a lot of fish. That was like the biggest one, fish and chicken, but also like pork. I mean, there was never a shortage of meat.
Right.
So it really wasn't too different. And then, yeah, like when I came here to go to school, I mean, I had a meal plan too at the dining hall, so I was eating pizza and cereal every day.
Oh, yeah, because we had class together, but we didn't talk to each other.
Right.
And we both had a meal plan, and we went to the same dining hall.
Right.
And like I'd be there at like 7 o'clock in the morning eating omelets, and you'd be there at the same time eating cereal or whatever the hell they happen to have, and we like make eyes at each other across the dining hall, like, who's that?
Which is so cute.
It's so silly because like I would like go there with like my guy friends.
I know.
And you just always like assumed like they were like
fucking a new guy every day.
But I lived in a dorm at the time.
Right, so there
and
were
like,
a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a small dorm, so we were like all cool.
Right.
So it'd be like no one really wanted to go to the dining hall by themselves, especially because like what if you want to get up and get another plate, like you gotta leave your phone or whatever, or you gotta carry it. So like it was always just like whenever, like there's always somebody else awake. I was never in the dorm by myself awake. There was always somebody else that was like, oh yeah, I could go for a swipe, you know, and like get a meal plan, or get like a meal from the dining hall.
Right. I was off campus and like really bad at making friends, and I was also older than everybody. So for me, the dining hall was like just a place to get food. That like, I mean, there's never anything social about it, but I ate junk. I ate a lot of meat and dairy.
It's the dining hall food, like there's like a culture about it, because you either have to go up and ask a person for a plate of whatever like meal they had, which was like I remember they would have like brisket and mashed potatoes, and you would get to like, you have to like bring your plate up to the person and say like, hey, can I have brisket and potatoes? And they put it on the plate and like kind of look at you like, is that enough? Do you want more? And you tell them, and then you take it away. I never did that because I was so fucking anxious. The food that was the most available to me was the self-serve food. So it was pizza, cereal, salads, and like in the mornings, I wasn't so scared to go get an omelet because you just went down the line and you would tell them you want eggs or egg whites, and then they'd like, you know, do that up, and then, you know, they'd ask you what vegetables you wanted, or like maybe you picked out your own vegetables and you just handed them the plate or something, and they would like put it in your eggs or whatever.
Right. I mean, it would have been hard to have been vegan at that point, really.
I remember there were 2 girls that lived in my dorm that were like sort of like edgy, kind of like, they were nice, but they were like sort of like edgy and cool, and they talked about like, oh, there's crap in our food, I don't want to eat the crap in our food. So when they would come to the dining hall with us, they would go to the little salad bar and get like a plate of fruit and like vegetables. Yeah. And be like, we're trying to go vegan, or we're trying to go vegetarian.
Yeah. Like thinking about it, there really weren't many options.
Not then.
I imagine it's changed a little, at least.
Well, we know it's changed.
Yeah. I mean, I know they have like some things. They have like a stupid garden burger. It tastes like shit. You know,
well,
like,
and they have the little stir fry stations now. We went there last year, and it was like, you like put all your little veggies on the plate, and then you grabbed your tofu and you put that on a plate. You just like put everything on the plate uncooked, and then handed it to a person, and they stir fried it up with whatever sauce you told them.
Right, for like 5 seconds, and then handed you your like raw broccoli and cold tofu. But I mean, at least it exists.
And the rice is crunchy. Like, it was a bummer, but like some of the people that worked there like really like gussied it up, and they weren't fucking around. They were like gonna make you the best goddamn stir fry you ever have had.
Yeah. Anyway,
2014.
So we were eating like shit, and it didn't get better. Like when we got together, really,
it got worse. Well, we were eating out, and we were eating like shit, and we would like go to the little gas station by your apartment complex and like walk there and get like, you know, Ben and Jerry's fish food ice cream. And
Oh, fish food.
Oh, with a little crunchy, yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But we were like getting that. We were
All the time.
Yeah. At that point, we weren't eating the dining hall because I no longer had a meal plan.
Right.
But we were eating junk together. And I
Yeah.
remember we went through like a phase, like winter 2014, where we were like trying to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And so we ate like fish and rice and vegetables.
Yeah, we would like cook chicken cutlets and
Yeah.
like broccoli or whatever.
So we were trying to be healthy, but it was like meat-based health. So it was like what you think of when you think of healthy food that isn't vegan, like mainstream chicken, vegetables, rice, whatever. Like we were doing stir fries a lot, but it was always with chicken, and I fucking hate cooking chicken, and I hated it
So
then.
gross.
It's slimy, it's nasty. I really liked going to Publix and getting like the fish that's like sort of airtight in plastic.
Right.
It's like frozen,
Yeah.
and you like put it in water, like hot water to thaw.
Yeah.
And then you like cut it up, and like it's like easy, and it's not like slippery and disgusting like chicken is.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't really like fish, we were eating it a lot.
Right.
But it wasn't until early 2016.
Yeah.
It wasn't until early 2016 that we started even thinking about it. And I think I thought about it first. No, I remember because we were laying in bed. I was on my phone and I was just looking at like animal videos on Facebook.
You loved cows.
Oh my God,
The
no, I
cow
watched
videos.
videos with cows and I was like crying, thinking about how much I love cows because they're so cute and their little eyes blink at you with their little eyelashes, and they're like basically dogs.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't think I can eat cows anymore. And you were like, okay. And like I think you were like kind of in it
Yeah.
too. Our cat is eating. Like, but I think you were kind of in it too. Like you were like enchanted by the cow videos.
Yeah, I loved the cows. And, you know, that's like a stepping stone, I guess.
But you, up until that point, had like a history with hunting and fishing. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh, yeah. I killed a ton of animals.
Well, I don't mean like you're a murderer, like you did this, but like
Yeah.
it was important to you, and like I just want you to talk about like the kind of like hunting and fishing you did, and like what it meant to you, and like how you felt like if you were being like good to animals, or like what kind of was
Right.
your
I mean, that could be a
mentality?
whole other topic, I guess. But,
Briefly,
like,
then.
when I was super young, it was hunting. Because my dad would take me hunting. We would hunt ducks, mostly. And it was just nice, because I got to spend, like, a day with my dad.
It was just
and-
like a cool activity, like any
Right,
other, yeah.
right. It didn't mean much to me, but I liked being out on the water. I liked being out, like, in the outdoors. I liked the animals. I genuinely loved the ducks. Like, they were so pretty. And then I would shoot them. And I guess, like, it was cool, right? Because I got to look at them closely. I got to, like, really inspect their feathers and shit. And it's morbid and disgusting, and, like, I hate myself for it, but
You can't hate yourself for shit you did
Yeah.
when you were a kid.
I
like,
know. It's just,
Especially when it's so normal and it's like taught to you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I asked you to bring it up, because I think about things like that. Like when I got together with you and I was eating meat and you were telling me like about like your childhood and stuff, like hunting and fishing, which fishing is a bigger deal, and I want you to talk about that.
Right.
Like I want you to talk about how you really grew up and like how you went from that to like a vegan, and because I think the cognitive dissonance is sort of worth talking about, and not
Yeah.
like you're a bad person and you grew up a bad person and now you're good. Like that's not what I'm doing.
yeah. I mean, when I was really young, you know, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't really think about it, but I did hunt things, and I shot stuff in, like, the neighborhood that I wasn't supposed to be hunting, like squirrels and cardinals. And, like,
Oh my god.
yeah, like, really fucked up. Shooting songbirds, like, I don't know.
That you're not supposed to do, vegan or not,
Right.
hunter or not.
Super illegal.
But like, did you know that? And like, kids are fucking assholes.
Yeah, no, I mean, and especially, like, I mean, I feel like in the 90s and in, like, the early 2000s, well, I mean, I guess really the 90s. It was so easy for kids. Like, we didn't have, like, what were we going to do? We all had BB guns and paintball guns in, like, the woods. And we would go shoot each other and shoot things. That's, like, what it was to be a kid in my neighborhood.
I feel like growing up, every boy I knew fucking hunted something at some point.
Yeah.
Whether it was, like, you're sitting and fucking, like, kitchen lizards and strangling them or whatever, or, like, literally, like, shooting and killing animals, like, fucking... Like, kids like hunting.
Yeah.
Which I guess is, like, normal from, like, an evolutionary perspective, but that's normal. But the fishing, too.
Yeah, okay, so, like, fishing was way more important to me. And I fished way later into life than I hunted. I gave up hunting, like, really young. Like, I wasn't even hunting as a teenager. Like, it was literally just early childhood that I was hunting. Which is a whole other discussion about, like, giving an 8-year-old a gun, but whatever. So,
yeah, that's like that's for some other podcast.
Yeah. So fishing though, like, was really important to me, and I fished like into my 20s, and especially towards the end there, it was like, I don't know, I loved the fish so much, like I thought, and I would go out and I would doing like sight fishing. I was trying to like find fish, and then I was like fly fishing. I was using flies that I tied myself, and like. Just everything was very, like, thought out, and then I would catch the fish, and I'd be, like, so gentle with it, aside from, like, putting a hook in its mouth and dragging it out of its habitat. I thought I was being gentle.
Well, and you were known amongst other fisher people, you were known as, like, the eco-friendly, like, tree-hugging asshole, like, so
that was a subsect of, like, the fishing community in our area, was like these, you know, environmentalists who would go out and fish, and I guess I was kind of like in that group. I was always catch and release. I was always really careful to like revive fish and make sure that they swam away healthy. But I mean, and I guess after going vegan, that was still something that like I was like, oh wow, I'm really never gonna fish, like. And it wasn't tied together. Like when we went vegan, it was kind of like, okay, you can still fish, but then I'm like, wait, that's fucking weird. And then it just like, it took a while to realize that I was never going to fish again, and that was good.
Right, and well, because fishing, unlike hunting, I feel like fishing is super non-violent. Like you and I, when we first got together, would go to the beach and you would fish, and I would just be like laying out or whatever, and like, that was just, you were just kind of chilling there waiting for somebody to bite, and like that feels like just a peaceful day by the water. That doesn't feel like a violent activity like shooting a gun.
Yeah, and I guess it's because you don't have like a gun,
and if you're not killing them, it feels completely different.
I mean, I guess, but it doesn't take much research like to find out that catch and release isn't as effective as like people would like you to believe, like fishermen would like you to believe, like especially shore fishing for like sharks or tarpon, like these are big, they die. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just,
I know nothing about fishing.
Yeah, I mean, I could do a whole fishing podcast too, but it's weird, and fishing is not good, and I'm happy that I don't fish anymore, and I never want to fish again. But it was a big part of my life, so I guess relevant to talk about.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I knew that about you when we got together, because when we first started going out, I would order fish at restaurants.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm a super picky eater, and I'm very fucking weird, and like that kind of almost warrants its own episode of me just being a total weirdo.
Right.
Like, because people sometimes ask me for recommendations on what to eat, and I'm like, I just eat beans.
Yeah.
That's not. But like then I was like, okay, he's into fishing, he likes fish, he talks about fish, like I should order fish. And I always did, and like I got into salmon that way.
Right.
But it was like whatever. But we saw that cow video.
Yeah.
And I had like a whole moment with myself over it, and then I had like 2 weeks of like trying to sort of be vegan.
Right.
And you weren't really interested. We didn't really talk about it, though.
It was undiscussed, yeah.
Right, like my dad came over and I was like, I'm trying to eat less meat.
Yeah.
I'm trying to eat less dairy. And at that point, I pretty much never kept milk in the house.
Right.
Like when we first got together, I wasn't drinking milk.
Right.
Unless it was from like someplace. Like if I got milk in my cereal at the dining hall, it was whatever.
Right.
But like I never bought like whole, like I never bought dairy milk.
Right.
At all. I always bought almond milk or soy milk because that was just like after my parents got me into the Whole Foods thing, I realized that milk makes me feel bad, like physically. So
yeah.
drinking milk itself, I was like, that's garbage.
Right.
Like milk's not good. But like, so I wasn't really consuming a ton of dairy. I was consuming some cheese, some sour cream, some yogurt, but definitely not milk.
Right.
So that was like not a big deal. But like I told him like, oh, I'm trying to eat less meat, and he was like, yeah, it's good to eat less meat because like obviously he'd been roped into all that. But you and I didn't really talk about it, and so after like 3 weeks, I failed.
Yeah.
I just went right back to my old eating habits, and I thought back on that like a few times that spring of I guess 2016. Because, like, one of my professors brought in chocolate for the class, and she
Right.
and I was the first one there, and she was like, are you vegan? And I, like, looked at her like, what? And I said, well, actually, I'm kind of trying to go vegan. And she goes, I thought so. Vegans and feminists, there's, like, such an overlap. So she brought chocolate, and she brought cuties,
Okay.
like the little mandarin oranges.
Right.
So she had chocolate and cuties, and, like, I ate the cuties because I fucking love cuties. But, like, her asking me that, like, kind of got me thinking about it again.
Yeah.
And I got into, like, vegan YouTube,
Yeah.
which you were not, like, participating in. We weren't really watching videos together.
No.
But we talked a little about it, and, like, at first I was super sort of resistant because, like, some like, activists in my, like, academic circles, because I'm a women's and gender studies student, kind of made veganism seem like this thing for like privileged rich white people that don't care about people of color, or that don't care about people with eating disorders, disabilities, whatever.
Yeah.
Like vegans are just like assholes.
Right.
And I didn't want to be that, but I was like watching vegan YouTube, like these people aren't all assholes. Some of them are assholes, and I watched a few that were like terrible bad and like
Yeah. I remember.
problematic, but
Yeah.
like some of them were like so like positive and sweet and cool, and we're like, but you have to eat all raw foods all the time. And I was like, okay, maybe raw foods are it, like maybe that's the thing.
Right.
And like that was when I started talking to you about it, I think, and kind of like what do you think about that? What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, you started talking about it, and I was super resistant. There was no way in hell I was going to be vegan, and honestly, there was no way I was going to stay with you if you were vegan.
Really?
Oh, it was bad.
You were mad.
I
remember.
I was just mad about it. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I still thought it was an eating disorder, and I thought it was weird, and I thought it was bad. I was like super defensive about it, that like, trying to be normal, or like, trying to defend your shitty actions kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
You're resistant to change like that. So,
Especially when it's something as big as eating. Like, we eat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day. And, like, what, are you just not going to eat meat anymore?
Right.
What, are you not going to eat cheese anymore? Cheese is fucking delicious. Are you going to stop eating it?
yeah. So it seemed weird, and I wasn't into it, and I remember, like, telling you no, basically. Like,
Yeah,
we
no, I
weren't going to go
remember.
vegan. And then I guess
Yeah.
you showed me something, like, and I think I feel like so many people that go vegan, it's like they watch something.
I remember. You watched Forks Over Knives. You watched
Yeah.
Forks Over Knives. And that was it's mostly about health.
Right. Now when I think back about that documentary, like, is it even a document? Like, I feel weird about it. Like, I feel like it really shouldn't have been the, like, factor that, made me change.
Well, you watched it, and
Yeah.
you were, because they talked a lot about heart disease, and they talked about obesity. Like,
Yeah.
they used all like the buzzwords
Right.
that like get Americans interested in health. They talked about the China study, which is really interesting.
Right.
And you watched that and you were like, I don't want to be fat. I don't want to die of heart disease. So I'm just going to go vegan.
Yeah.
And literally that night we went to Taco Bell and I got something vegetarian because for the first, like, for those few weeks leading up to that, between that, like, conversation where you were like, hell no, and you finally saying that and watching that documentary was when I was, like, vegetarian. And that happened to me because we were out at a restaurant and I ordered something with chicken because I didn't want the tofu dish. I was afraid that the tofu dish was going to be weird and gross.
Right, tofu was weird.
Tofu is super weird, and like still sometimes it's weird, but
to me it's the most basic food. Like I can eat like raw tofu, like just give me the fucking tofu. But anyway, you ordered chicken and the
chicken texture was disgusting. It was, I don't know if it was regular chicken and it was totally fine, or it was like extra fatty and like gristly like chicken sometimes was known to be, but it was like a decent enough restaurant that like that would have been kind of weird. But like, because meat is so much chewier than everything else, I was chewing it and chewing it and chewing it, and I got to that point where I started to psych myself out about like, oh my god, I'm gonna be chewing this forever, I'm gonna throw up. And like, I like soldiered on, I fucking swallowed the bite, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. And I think I like took leftovers home that night and you ate it, whatever.
Yeah.
But then a couple weeks later, after I had been eating like no meat, but I had been eating dairy, especially when we went out. Like if we went to Taco Bell, which was a place where we went often enough.
Right.
Like, kind of embarrassed about how often we went.
Yeah.
But it's like cheap, it's easy, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But I would be getting like cheese and nachos.
Right.
Like I remember that was really like my thing that I liked, because the cheese like came like warm and the little chips were like tiny and whatever. And like that night we went and we got that. I got like my little vegetarian Taco Bell thing, and you got a Crunchwrap Supreme, I think, with all the fixins.
Yeah, that was my thing.
That was the thing you liked.
Yeah.
So I have to just assume that's what you got. And we got Cinnabon Delights, and that's what I really remember, getting the Cinnabon Delights, because those things like just explode in your mouth.
Yeah.
And we ate it, and I looked at you, and we were like, I think this is it. And literally the next day, I went out with my dad. My dad came over, and we went to a Vietnamese place, and I ordered the like vegetarian pho.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure even still that it's vegan, but we haven't been back because there's no like verified, like there's no way to find out.
Right.
And I talked to my dad and my grandma about it, and I was like, yeah, I think that we're like actually gonna do this. Jordan said he wanted to do it even, and that was weird because like, and I think I even told them, I was like, he was resistant to it a while ago, but like now he's like even involved, and
yeah.
like now he is even excited about it. So I like brought you back some like Thai tea or something, and then that I think was it.
Yeah, it was a quick change like once we did it.
And like I remember we had like a big pack of like frozen chicken we had just gotten from Publix. It was unopened.
Right.
And I was like, what do we do with this? Do we like throw it away? What do we do? Because I was grossed out by it, especially it was Purdue chicken.
Right. Disgusting.
So like the worst possible fucking chicken. Like you could go to KFC and it would probably be more ethical than Purdue chicken. And so we knew Publix had like a really, really good return policy, so we took it to Publix and they fucking gave us our money back for the chicken, and we got some like vegan treats or something.
Right. I mean, it was like probably $10 or something. Like
yeah, that chicken's like $10.
So
or
yeah,
was that?
I mean, it was nice. We got some treats. I remember. Yeah.
And like that was it. That was literally it. And like, but we definitely had a little bit of a journey since then.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to touch on a little bit?
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Well, okay, when we first went vegan, we like went to the hookah lounge with a girl that I knew and was pretty close with, and we talked about it, and she goes, oh, my roommate went vegan and he had to be like hospitalized because he had no electrolytes or something fucked up. And you and I were like, oh, we're gonna do it healthy, we're not gonna do it like that, like whatever.
Right.
And at the time what we thought was like the healthiest thing for us to do, because we were all in it for the health.
Right.
Right, we were in it. And, like, up until then, we had been trying to, like, do some healthy stuff. We were drinking, like, protein shakes and eating the chicken and vegetables and, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So we were trying to be healthy. We just didn't really know what we were doing. And so then we were like, okay, well, as raw as possible is the healthiest thing. And we told her, we were like,
Yeah.
we're interested in being as raw as possible. And she's like, that's how he got fucking sick. All he ate was raw fucking fruits and vegetables, and he got sick.
Yeah.
And we were like, whatever. And turns out raw is, like, not what we wanted to do at all.
No, it was kind of miserable. I mean,
We had
I
some,
like fruit,
we had some
but-
raw meals. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that summer. We went vegan in the summer. And I remember just for hours at a time standing in the kitchen cutting up watermelons and pineapple and honeydew.
yeah.
And like, not honeydew, cantaloupe, because I don't really dig on honeydew like that. But cantaloupe, hella cantaloupe. And I was bringing cantaloupe and watermelon to work with me every day and eating like a full meal of like cantaloupe. And I
Right.
can't imagine how that wasn't like the most expensive thing we ever did, because that's,
Yeah. It wasn't great.
it was a lot.
I don't know, like, and we found the one all vegan restaurant in Tampa or whatever,
Oh my god, the Loving Hut.
and like that was where we went out because we didn't know how to go out anywhere really.
Yeah.
Like we figured out Chipotle pretty soon.
Chipotle was easy because then you don't have to be
So
like,
for
I
the-
need the vegan option. Like,
Yeah.
you could literally just tell them what you wanted, and
Yeah.
it was cool.
But yeah, mostly it was like fruit and stuff, which was
Yeah.
not great. Like or for dinner, it would be like rice and like a steamer pack of veggies. And
Oh,
that's so depressing.
No, I
to
have
think
like
about now.
on my Instagram, if you go back far enough, there's a picture of me. Like, I took a lot of pictures of my food then because I was like interested in rejoining Instagram as like a food bitch.
Yeah.
And I have just pictures of little bowls of fruit, and like we had one that was like half a plate of rice and the other half was cucumbers and carrots, and
Right.
sprinkled on the plate was sriracha, and I fucking ate the hell out of that, and I have no idea how I did it
Yeah.
with nothing else. I was like, this is vegan, this is what vegans eat, and I posted, I was so proud of myself, I was so healthy.
Yeah. We had hot dogs and French fries for dinner tonight. I think we've
Yeah.
evolved.
We had Beyond sausages, don't call them hot dogs.
Yeah. Well, I
They're
mean,
so much better than hot dogs.
yeah. No, it's funny to think about that. Like, we definitely suffered needlessly through like some shit food.
Really trying to we really were trying to figure out how to eat healthily and like
Yeah.
eating and for a long time we sort of bought into the like, you don't need protein thing,
Right.
and like, which, while it's true, like, we're not gonna die if we don't get, you know, however much protein a day, but like eating foods with protein make me feel better.
Yeah.
And like eating a higher protein diet makes me feel better. And like for me, being like a medium woman, like 100 grams or so of protein a day is like perfect for me. And that's like on the high side for somebody my size that is a vegan. But it's like not that hard to find vegan protein sources, and we struggled with that for a long time because we didn't know how to cook tofu.
We just destroyed some tofu. Like, just ruined it.
Oh yeah. We had a lot of tofu on the George Foreman for a long time.
Oh,
And
the
that-
George Foreman. That was such a. Our intentions were in the right place for that, but
It all went to hell so fast.
the Boca burgers, like,
Oh my god, the Boca. We ate so many Boca burgers, and I forget about that phase of our life where we
Yeah.
ate Boca burgers like every day.
right.
That was not that long ago. That was
No.
before we discovered Beyond Burgers, before we got them here.
Yeah.
And like as soon as we got Beyond Burgers here, anytime we ate burgers, it was Beyond.
Right.
Like Boca burgers were like fine, but not.
Yeah. And I mean, we can probably like do a whole like podcast about like the food we like now as opposed to what we used to like, or not even, we never liked it, but we ate it. Like,
Well, we thought that
You
we
know.
were just doomed to
We
like
thought that's all
eating
it
food that we
was.
don't like.
yeah.
And like realizing that like there's plenty of shit that like we just sort of replaced.
Yeah.
And like oh my god, I remember eating like baked potatoes, so I like microwave potatoes and then put Earth Balance
Yeah.
and like soy bacon bits, which
Right.
are like most bacon bits, And we would like I would like eat that. That'd be like my meal.
Yeah.
Like Whole Foods, like, but like literally no protein, basically no calories.
Yeah.
Trash. Like I pretty much don't eat baked potatoes anymore because like I think back to those days, like that baked potato for lunch and a Boca burger for dinner.
Right.
Just garbage.
Anyway, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably about it for our introductory vegan journey.
Yeah, I feel
don't know.
like we started off, like, I started off when we got together, not athletic,
Right.
didn't do any sort of exercise. I thought walking to the gym was all the exercise I needed.
Right.
I, like, walked to work in the morning, which was all of 5 minutes, and was like, there's my exercise. And,
Yeah.
like, ate like garbage, and now I'm, like, totally vegan, totally plant-based, like lifting weights, strength training, like completely different. And you started running when we got together. You were running when we got together.
Oh yeah, I've been running for a while, but
A couple decades or whatever.
anyway,
And like,
no, it's good. It's good to see how like we're able to live like this, and especially when I thought it was an eating disorder.
yeah, because now you fucking grub all day if you want to on some vegan goodies.
Yeah.
We could eat like assholes right now if we wanted to. I'm trying not to because I'm cutting, but I'm trying to like, I'm thinking about all of like, if we just wanted to have like vegan junk food day.
Right.
Get up in the morning, have pancakes, hot dogs and burgers and shit for lunch,
Yeah.
fries and all manner of like, if
Yeah.
we had a grill
Oh yeah.
that like, because there's a grill here, but like everybody puts their meat on it, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to do that. But like if we had a grill, we'd like grill the Beyond sausages,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Beyond burgers, we'd have the fries, we'd have like whatever the fuck else you grill. Some people grill vegetables, and like, you know, and just go out, fucking Chipotle, Tijuana Flats, like I feel like every pizza place now is starting to have vegan options, even like.
Yeah. I mean, we can get delivery pizza. Like, there's
Yeah.
really nothing you can't like. There's really nothing you can't get as a vegan. Like,
Right.
it's kind of stupid to think about how we used to approach our diet.
Uh-huh.
But
Oh, you know what we should talk about? Is like, not too in depth, but like kind of like our families and like, because
Oh, yeah.
my parents weren't really vegan.
right.
Like when you and I got together, my parents were still eating meat, still eating whatever, but they were
Yeah.
eating less meat, like for like the health.
Right.
And then partway into, or like a little bit into the beginning of our relationship, my parents said something about like, yeah, we just don't think that like meat is something that we should eat. And I was like, are you kidding me? Y'all were the assholes that made fun of my creative writing teacher.
Yeah.
Is there a problem?
No.
Okay. Like, y'all were the assholes that made fun of my creative writing teacher. You were such dicks. And now you're telling me you're going to go, like, vegan. Really? Sure. And that was before you and I ever did. And, like, they sort of went, like, quasi-plant-based. More plant-based than, like, the standard American, I guess.
Yeah.
But not as plant-based as, like, you and I are now.
Right.
By any stretch. And they split up, and my dad is not a vegan, but he sees that like being vegan is probably better. Like, he eats meat, like he treats it like a diet.
Right.
So he'll eat like all plant-based all day long, and then at night, if he wants like a Ben and Jerry's, he won't go get the vegan one, he'll just get the one that he wants.
Yeah.
My mom and her man are both like vegan. They both call themselves vegan, and they're like pretty passionate about it, but they're also like pretty chill.
Yeah.
Like, so like at restaurants, if it's like, you know, a vegan sushi roll, they're like, yeah, whatever, that's probably vegan, but they won't ask like, oh, is that fried in eggs? Or like, what's the deal? Does that have like fish
Right. Like, it's
stuff?
not listed as a vegan sushi roll. It's listed as like vegetarian or something.
Right, and so they're
They
just
don't
like,
ask, yeah.
fuck it, who cares?
Yeah.
Which is like a little bit flexitarian, plant-based, like, but like they're really trying.
Right.
And they really do like a lot to like say like, you know, we're gonna eat Daya mac and cheese and Beyond Burgers, like whatever. Like they eat totally plant-based, but they're a little bit less strict than you and I are.
Yeah.
My sister's not vegan. Her partner's not vegan. They're just like, they just eat whatever. I think my sister kind of is interested in being vegan, but she's not vegan.
Right.
But she also had a baby less than a year ago. So she's like just eating whatever works for her
Yeah.
right now. Like as a new mom, she's just eating whatever the fuck over the sink probably is how I imagine her.
Yeah.
But like, so that's my family. My family started off when I was a little kid, roasting the hell out of me for being interested in it.
Yeah.
And now we're pretty much all in the same place.
Right.
Neither of my parents are as strict as me, but they're definitely like, I definitely don't have to struggle with like parents that are like, oh, you're vegan. Like that's not something that I have to deal with ever.
Right.
And what about you?
So, my family, I mean, I don't really have as much contact with my family as you have with yours. So, it wasn't as big of a deal, I guess, when I went vegan. I don't remember if I really even, like, told anyone outright. I can't remember how I told them.
You didn't when we first got together, but, like, I think you were on the phone with your mom or something at one point, and she said something about it, and you were like, actually, like, we're vegan now, and, like...
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a big deal.
But it was such that when we first went vegan for, like, almost a year, she said vegan exclusively.
Oh, she did call it vegan.
She knew so little about it. And
Yeah.
she, like, I think maybe even still doesn't fully, like...
No, she doesn't really. I mean...
Like, all the, like, the little nitty-gritty of, like, gelatin and lactose and natural flavors.
Right.
And
No,
stuff.
I don't think she knows anything about any of that. But, yeah. I mean, I wasn't made to feel weird or anything. Like, at least, I don't know. Like, my family relationships are weird anyway, so I guess it didn't make me more of an outsider. I was already, like, a pretty serious outsider, so...
Right, but
it
your
didn't
mom...
really matter.
But your mom now and your sister now...
I mean, I think they're vegetarian. They were vegetarian for at least a little while.
Right, and your mom seems now like she's at least eating mostly vegetarian.
Right.
She doesn't like cooking meat either.
No, I mean, I think a lot of it was they didn't like
Illegal.
cooking meat, and then part of it was health. I don't think they care about animals. Like, I don't think that's a thing.
That's not like a driving force, but
No.
not like it is for us. And that's something that we should like make clear is we didn't start for animals, we started for health, and now I will eat like the Earth Balance Cheetos knockoff all day long. I don't care about like health in that way. Like it's all about animals for me.
Yeah, same here, definitely. And yeah, I mean, I think they kind of viewed vegetarian as a way to like lose weight. You
It's
know,
normal, yeah.
They're
a lot of
like-
people think like that.
I mean, they're always chasing like a new diet, and I think they were like, oh, like meat maybe not super healthy, so
Right, and
Yeah.
again, like cooking meat is a huge pain. It's gross.
right, it's
annoying.
expensive, it's gross.
And it's like a little bit. I feel like there's more risks with meat in terms of like
Like getting sick.
foodborne illness. Like obviously
Yeah.
the E. coli and the lettuce is a whole thing.
Yeah, don't eat lettuce at Chipotle, I guess, but
Or anywhere ever.
yeah,
But so I think that's like meat is pretty inconvenient.
yeah,
So it's like a natural choice that I think eventually I would have made just for the sole reason of I hate cooking meat. Like I would have been like a meat out kind of person.
right,
But even that feels sketchy and weird, you know?
yeah.
So I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that feels pretty complete.
Right. I guess the next part of our vegan journey or vegan story or history or whatever we're calling it is this podcast.
Yeah,
Because I have like a lot of feelings about being a vegan and eating vegan and living vegan and like being a vegan in non-vegan spaces and like I hate other vegans sometimes. And, like, so I feel like us being able to talk about this and like share kind of our thoughts and opinions is like the next step in our like vegan journey. We've been vegan for 2 years now.
yeah,
So I feel qualified to talk on this. I'll look back in 10 years like, wow, she was so
Yeah,
stupid.
no, it feels like nothing. Like the last 2 years, it really feels like we're not even vegan yet. But it's something we're passionate about, so it's fun to talk about it. And I don't know. I think it'll be good.
I think so too. I'm excited to continue our vegan podcast. Our plant-based podcast?
Our plant-based podcast.
hell
Is
are
that the
we
name?
calling this?
I think that's the name.
I think our plant-based podcast is what we're like officially calling it, but
Right.
we're just gonna be like the podcast because who gives a fuck? Just for like search purposes, we'll call it our plant-based podcast.
Right. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Bye.